Project Dreadnest, Case File 4731, The Blackwood Incident. This file was recovered from a sealed government archive labeled as Project Blackwood. The document details a series of events that took place in the fall of 1973. Deep within the Blackwood Forest in northern Maine, the forest is known locally for its dense canopy, near perpetual twilight, and a history of disappearances dating back more than a century. The incident recorded here involves the sudden disappearance of an entire ranger patrol and the subsequent investigation that followed. What was found defies all logical explanation. The first entry in the file is dated October 14th, 1973. A ranger patrol of 5 men, led by Sergeant Hal Whitman, was dispatched to investigate reports of strange lights and unsettling noises near the forest's eastern perimeter. These reports came from a small logging community bordering the woods, whose residents spoke of eerie chanting and unnatural shadows seen after dark. The patrol was equipped with standard gear, and radio contact was to be maintained at all times. Communication was lost on the evening of October 15th. The last transmission was a brief message, indicating they had located something unusual and were preparing to investigate further. The transmission was abruptly cut off by a burst of static. A search party was assembled and dispatched the following morning. When the search team arrived at the patrol's last known coordinates, they found an abandoned campsite. The tents were intact, but showed no signs of recent use. Personal belongings were scattered, as if the occupants had left in haste, but without any indication of violence or struggle. The radios, food supplies, and maps were all left behind. Footprints led from the camp into the forest, but suddenly stopped near a shallow depression in the earth. Further investigation revealed strange markings carved into several trees surrounding the area. Alongside the carvings were scratch marks and traces of a dark, oily substance that defied chemical analysis. The team collected samples and photographs before continuing deeper into the woods. The file includes detailed notes describing an increasing sensation of dread experienced by members of the search party. Several reported hearing faint whispers carried on the wind, voices that seemed to call their names but vanished when approached. As they ventured further, electronic devices began malfunctioning. Radios emitted only static, compasses spun uncontrollably, and watches ceased to keep accurate time. On the third day, the search team found a large circular clearing, ringed by ancient oaks. In the center was a stone altar, covered in moss, and engraved with symbols matching those on the trees. The altar was stained with dried blood, though no nearby source was found. Surrounding the altar were dozens of small, humanoid figures carved from bone and wood, arranged meticulously in a circle. That night, the camp was plagued by unsettling sounds, low growls, the snapping of branches just outside the firelight, and unidentifiable rustling. One member of the team vanished without a trace. The others reported a shadowy figure moving just beyond their vision, always retreating when confronted. The following morning, the missing member was found disoriented at the edge of the clearing. He claimed to have seen something ancient and terrible lurking beneath the roots of the trees. His testimony was fragmented and incoherent, but spoke repeatedly of a Luxus, the sleeping god, and of voices that promised power but demanded silence. Shortly after, 2 more members of the team disappeared overnight. Search efforts were hampered by worsening weather and the increasingly hostile atmosphere within the forest. The remaining members grew paranoid and began to turn on each other, claiming to see their comrades' faces reflected in the bark of the trees, whispering threats. The last recorded entry in the file describes a final confrontation between the remaining searchers and the presence they believed haunted the woods. The survivors attempted to destroy the altar, but were met with a force that shattered their equipment and drove them into a panicked retreat. Only one member of the search party, Private Lewis, made it out alive. His escape was marked by his stumbling into the logging town several days later, covered in dirt and muttering about the forest swallowing his friends. He refused to speak further on the matter and died under mysterious circumstances a month after his return. In the months following, several logging crews abandoned their operations in Blackwood Forest. Satellite imagery showed a permanent shadow cast over the clearing where the altar had been found, despite sunlight conditions. Local authorities report an increase in missing persons cases and strange sightings in the area over subsequent decades. The Blackwood incident remains officially unsolved. The government closed the file in 1975 but kept the location under surveillance. Satellite data recorded unexplained energy readings consistent with the original reports of the harmonic frequency disturbances. Theories range from ancient pagan rituals and forgotten deities to experimental weapons testing gone awry. But all who have investigated the forest speak of an oppressive silence and a presence that seems to watch and wait beneath the trees. To this day, the Blackwood Forest is marked as a restricted zone. Unauthorized entry is met with severe penalties. Locals warn travelers to avoid the area after dusk and never to follow the voices that call from the darkness. What lurks beneath the canopy remains unknown. What has been uncovered suggests a power older than human history itself. The file closes with a final warning. Some places are better left forgotten,